Well, anybody can get tricked. It happens. And so that'll segue to our next interesting thing. So last week, everybody reported on the auto workers strikes, the United Auto Workers. And I'm going to show you a clip of one such show that reported on it right here. And they reported on what NBC or CNBC reported on. So here we go.
UAW battle. Hi, Joe. Scott, we have received some information from a source familiar with the UAW's plans for the plants that it will plan on striking come midnight tonight if they do not reach an agreement with Ford, GM, and Stellantis. And this is our understanding of the plants that will be announced tonight. 10 o'clock is when we will get the official announcement from the UAW. Let's start first off with General Motors, Romulus Powertrain, Toledo, Ohio Propulsion, and the Marion Metal Plant in Indiana. For Ford, it's our understanding that the UAW plans to strike at the Livonia Transmission Plant, Lima, Ohio Engine Plant, and the Cleveland Engine Plant. And finally, for Stellantis, we understand that the UAW will walk out at the Kokomo Transmission Plant in Kokomo, Indiana, and the Dundee Engine Plant. We should stress, we have reached out to the UAW for confirmation that this, in fact, is the plan. We have not heard
see, look at the prices. Man.
Yeah, I was really eager to see what the prices on those stocks were doing as it was glancing down. I was like, oh, what's that stock doing right now? Because
it's not doing. I mean, you took them before. So look at those idiots. Reported that they were going to strike at those plants. Guess what, folks? They didn't strike at any of those plants. Nope. Something else magical happened. And give me 1 second. I will get it up. Hang on 1 second, everybody.
The big three automakers and the corporate media were effectively fooled by the striking United Auto Workers. So to understand how, here's the background on everything you need to know on how this strike works. So the unionized workers can basically strike at some plants while keeping other plants open. And this is actually a really great strategy because it helps the United Auto Workers maintain and save some of the resources in their strike fund, helps the strike fund last longer. Now, this tactic also allows the union strike fund to not only last longer, but keep the big three auto companies guessing which plants and which factories they're planning on striking at. Obviously, they're not going to know ahead of time unless they're going to be dumb enough to just believe what is put out on social media ahead of time, and that's exactly what happened. The companies, meanwhile, according to Daniel Boguslaw over at The Intercept, who has the best name I've ever read in a byline, the companies, meanwhile, sought to anticipate precisely which plants would be struck and reorganize production and distribution to minimize losses. The big three guessed badly. So mostly because of the fact that the workers cleverly tricked the employers with the use of social media. So in the run-up to the strike, UAW members at auto plants from Georgia to Tennessee to Ohio took to Facebook and Twitter to share accounts of partial plant closures and faulty information from plant managers, leading to chaos on shop floors across the country.
So they tricked everybody.
Information on social media.
Because they knew if the automakers, right, if the executives knew where they were going to strike, they'd just redistribute resources so they could, which frankly, that's the financial officer's job, right? The chief financial officer is to minimize risk and loss. So that guy was probably scrambling, going, okay, if they shut down these three plants, how can I minimize the loss to the company, right? And so that's what he did, is he redistributed all those goods, and then they shut down a different three plants.
I mean, that's pretty brilliant, honestly.
Well, because the whole point of a strike is to make it hurt. right? For the employer, so the employer bends to your will, to your agreement, right? To what you're asking for. But yep, they tricked everybody. They tricked us. They tricked, well, the media, and then they tricked us. But they got everybody looking left while they were moving right.
Good job, man. Good job, guys.
I mean, I can't give them any more points than that. It's bravo, UAW. Well played, sirs. Well played. I think that's just awesome. So yeah, they really screwed over with that strike over the last week or so. It's been about a week. Yeah, they really screwed over the Ford and Stellantis and GM.
And it's funny because the media, it just kind of shows that the media is like, oh, we have a source when really they're not even really checking up on who their source is or how they're getting their information either before they report it. It's just they're just like getting something from social media and going with it as if it's fact, which I don't know. Isn't that what we teach high school students, right? Like,
right.
You use, if you're writing research paper, you can't use these kinds of sources because there's a really, really heavy amount of hearsay in there. It could just be just people spouting stuff off, and it might not be real, right? Like that's kind of one of the
right.
Initial research, writing, high school, beginning college types of lessons.
Well, what they did was they had their members, and the members they knew who were, got to be on board, say, hey, go on Facebook, go on Twitter, and say, hey, rumor is this, or rumor is that, or I heard this, or so-and-so told me that, right? Even though it's all bullshit, right? Because they're not going to believe the union, because the union's not going to tell anybody where they're going to strike until they do it, right? But they'll believe, oh, well, the workers are hearing this, or I saw this on so-and-so's social media, or blah, 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 right? So I could see where you'd fall for that. But the other thing about it is this, which I thought was so funny, is we did this clip last week where we watched the CEO of GM, who makes, what is it, $29 million a year, right? We did a whole big joke about she makes over $14,000 an hour. And her whole excuse was, well, that's based on the performance of the company and leadership and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, all right, you're the CEO. Now go to the board and tell them, hey, under my leadership, we've got massive strikes. We've taken massive losses over the last week. And oh, by the way, I got my ass tricked because a bunch of workers posted some shit on Facebook. How's the performance looking now?
Honestly, I gotta say though, okay, so on one hand, I agree with you that it might be kind of easy to be tricked in that way, but I feel like if you are the CEO or somebody researching for the media, and you're seeing that all these workers are just saying this stuff on Facebook, wouldn't you stop and say, this is kind of interesting. Why would these people, right before a strike, be all advertising where the strikes are going to happen before they happen? Why would they do that?
Because people are stupid. But I would sit there and say, people don't know. But I would sit there and say, if you're a responsible CFO, you might sit there and go, well, wait a minute. We start moving a lot of resources over here. We make that a much more
vulnerable over here.
Right. We make that a much more attractive target. And what's to stop them from changing? Right. So if you close, oh, bless you. So if you close plant A, right? If we think they're going to close plant A, so we move our resources and a lot of our distribution over to plant B, right? Well, of course the workers are going to know it because they're going to have to do it. So the union, bless you, gosh.
I don't know what got me.
Oh yeah. But the workers are going to know, so the union's going to know. Right? So now if I'm the union, why don't I go, well, wait a minute. It's going to hurt more if we close Plant B now. After they did all this work to move everything over there. If I was the CFO, I would make that argument that maybe we should just wait and then be ready to respond. You know?
We try to get ahead of them. Maybe we actually play into their hand.
Well, right. Or maybe we give them a better target. Right? But that's me putting on my black hat as the fuck the worker CFO, right? Just kind of the CFO's job. But
listen, I was trying to put on all of the hats in that last clip with the Nazi and I was trying to wear all the freaking hats, man, and I was still struggling. So
well,